the tremors. And sometimes before I even counsel the patient, say, why did you go to the doctor? Because I don't want to scare them and say, hey, it's for your high blood pressure when it's for your migraine. So I asked the question before because it's used for different options. So that's important because usually in the paperwork you're gonna find the main use, but you don't find the other uses. One time we have a medication that is called tamsulosin. It's used for prostate hypertrophy of prostate in male patients, and they have difficulty urinating, right? So I saw this prescription the first time for a female, and I was like, for a female, this must be a mistake. So we have these books accessible all the time because we need to, pharmacy is a continuous studying. You're learning every day. So I access my Hippocrates, my lexicon, and I was able to read about it. Oh, this is a new on-label use. It's used for stones, when you're releasing stones from the kidneys, to relax that the urethra, to that way the stone go easily. So I was like, oh, no wonder. So when I was talking to the patient, do you have kidney stones? Yes. So, okay, don't get scared. You're gonna see this medication. It says that it's for your prostate, but of course it's not for your prostate. So this is a use, and I want you to make sure it's not a mistake. So a lot of things like that you encounter, and it's through patient counseling. Also side effects. So we want to make sure the patient understands that it's going to make him drowsy, that the medication can irritate the stomach, that the medication can make them get dry mouth. And all of these side effects are important, especially if you're driving or if you don't understand what's going on and maybe you stop the treatment. Also drug interaction, that's a special and important subject here in the border. I don't know how many of you have experienced that you get sick and then your neighbor, your grandma, your tia or something tells you, try this tea or try this herb or try this special natural pill, is gonna help you. This is from my neighbor, and then you said, it's natural, you should be fine. You're gonna learn in pharmacy school because it's natural doesn't mean it's safe, because natural products, they have a bunch of chemicals inside too, and those chemicals might interact or with the real medication and can block or can exacerbate or it can decrease the effect of your real medication. So that's one important thing that now doctors nowadays, especially in the border, they ask, do you take anything natural? And they bring all the bottles with the yapitas and the little things, and say, okay, you're not going to use any of that. You're going to stick to your medication. And there's nothing wrong with them if you're healthy and you take that by itself, but when you're taking other medications, you don't want to complicate the treatment. So we need to make sure through patient counseling, patients doesn't take those. There's, for example, there's a medication that they use as a blood thinner. It's called warfarin, and that medication, it's a high risk. We have a clinic, we have a pharmacist, as a matter of fact, at UMC, that she works specifically with these patients, offering counseling on what to eat, not to eat, because food that is rich in green leaves, like salads and vegetables, can decrease the effect of these medications. So you need to be able to talk to this patient, don't change your diet, don't increase your greens, because it might affect the effect of this drug. And at this point, we want you to keep your blood prothrombin time at a certain level, and it takes time for them to understand. So you need to sit down one-to-one with these patients. And then the last thing, compliance. Remember, it's not, the compliance is, do I take it every day? Do I take it just as needed? It's like when I'm counseling my patients on antibiotic, usually I tell my patients, in a couple of days, you're gonna feel a lot better. No fever, no pain, But please make sure you finish the 5 or 7 days, whatever days treatment. Make sure you finish the whole thing. Why? Because the side of the symptoms are going to get better, but the bacteria is still going around. So if you don't finish, what is going to happen? Your infection is going to come back, it's going to be stronger, and you're going to be probably resistant to the same antibiotic, and next time you're going to be using probably a higher dose or a higher potency antibiotic that is going to be probably more expensive or more complicated. So that's why nowadays the doctors are a little bit hesitant about providing antibiotics. They're being really careful because of the same thing. The strains are getting very resistant to antibiotics because of the abuse, especially here in the border, again, because it's easy to cross and get antibiotics or any little thing, and it's creating these kind of problems. Another option that we learned here at UMC, it's the financial assistant. The financial assistant, I never knew about it, and it's something that is important, especially you probably have family members that are struggling getting their medication. Patient assistance program, it's a program that has been developed by manufacturing companies, and they provide the medication after filling out an application, either for free or at a low discounted price. This is mainly for brand name medications. Each medication, when it's released to the market, they have a name. It's a patent, and the patent is good for 15 years. So nobody else can make that drug. Pfizer is making this drug, has 15 years, they pay all the research, they pay all the investigation, and then nobody else can make that drug. So they have 15 years to make that money back. That's why they sell it at a high price. And then after 15 years, a company that makes generic can get that opportunity to make that drug at a very inexpensive price because they don't have to pay for research or investigation or promotions or anything like that. So that's how the generics are coming, like at a very lower price. So this patient assistance program is good for these brand name drugs that have been released, that they still have a patent and they are really pricey. I have medications there that are $28,000 a month for hepatitis, for example. I have antibiotics that are $5,000 a month. Who can pay that? So there's different options when you compare, and that's why you go to school. You know what? This one is effective against this bacteria, and it's a lot cheaper. That's where you become really handy. So. In the pharmacy, like you can see, you can go many routes. It depends if you're into business, if you're into research and lab, if you're into promoting a drug, if you're into being in a hospital and preparing and distributing these IV drugs to the patients that are in the hospital. And again, community pharmacy, and even the teaching. I was teaching the pharmacy technician program for a while too. So there's many areas that you can choose from pharmacy. It's never bored. So words of advice. I mean, we need to be honest with you. One of the first thing is you need to be good in math and science. That's really important. Math and science, either good or exceed, because that's all you're gonna see. Nowadays, I still do my calculations for antibiotic. Okay, the doctor want 100 per 5 of, 250 per 5 of amoxicillin, but we just have 400 milligrams, and it's Friday afternoon, you need this pediatric patient to get the medication. Okay, then let's go ahead and do the calculations for this one. Okay, 250 per 5, I need 400, and do a lot of math. And you calculate the new dose and release it to the patient. If there's a lot on top of your head, pharmacists, you're ruled by the Texas State Board of Pharmacy. We receive visit at least every 2 years in any setting. Oh, another field that I forgot to mention is nuclear pharmacy. I have a coworker that works in nuclear pharmacy. It's a very Not a very common field, but those that like to be working with radioactive materials, that's what they do. They prepare those medications that they inject into your body when they are gonna do CT scans and when they're gonna do with a contrast or special studies. They prepare those drugs and they deliver to the hospitals to do those special studies. And that's a high demand because hardly anyone, it requires a little bit more hours and preparation because it's a specialty pharmacy kind of thing. So, but again, a lot of math, a lot of science. Always challenge yourself. I remember when I was going to pharmacy school, I will make myself notes and I will share with my other friends. And we ask questions to each other. Okay, I have a question for you, and then she'll have a question for me because what I didn't get in class, great, she got it. So we were like constantly sharing knowledge, and it was fun. Never give up, and always do your best. If they ask you for one, give them two. I always tell my kids the same thing, like do your best. They say, Mom, but they just asked me for this. Well, you can give a little bit more. I remember in tests, when they give me tests and I didn't know too much about the subject, I would write and write and write whatever I knew about it. He said, well, maybe they give me an extra point. And then the other one, and nothing is too hard for those who persist. You know, it's never give up. And over here, there's a statement that my boyfriend is supposed to be here, but he apologized. He had some audits going on at the MPB, and he couldn't be here today. But he said, share these with them. Those who failed at some point simply gave up. So those who failed at some point, so never give up. And pharmacy, you can read it anywhere. It's not easy. It is not impossible, but it's not easy. It is hard work, but at the end of the road, it is rewarding. And you may think, oh, it's rewarding because you earn a lot of money. You do earn a lot of money. I mean, plenty of money, but it's not everything. For me, the fact that I can help many patients and fill me out, it satisfies you in different ways to fulfill you as a person. So it depends what you want to do, how you want to, if you want to choose what field you want to pursue. So basically that's all I have. I'm open for questions if you have any questions. I understand the the new pharmacy program here, it's about 2 or 3 years undergraduate. You can even do the 4 years as a bachelor degree and then get into the pharmacy program, but it depends what are your goals. Yes, ma'am.
Can you explain a little more about the pharmaceutical science route? Because I think not a lot of us take that route, the research route. So could you explain how that school was for you?
Yeah. The pharmaceutical, I did a master's degree in pharmaceutical science in toxicology in Puerto Rico because I was given that opportunity, not because I needed it for nothing of what I do today. But it was a good experience. It helped you on the research and investigation at the drug level with experimental drugs. You know, before a drug is released into the market, it goes through an extensive research in the lab, and they do a lot of tests, not only at the cellular level, but some of them animal level, and they do studies on people, on regular patients, and they do these studies that are blind or they're I know VA do a lot of those, and there's a lot of programs because before a drug is released, you need to test it, and they select individuals that want to participate on those studies, and pharmacists get involved in that. They do all the data collection, they do all the research, the interviews, and that's something that every drug goes through that before it's released into the market. Mm-hmm. Yes, ma'am.
Could you please give details on why retail pharmacy is so stressful for pharmacists?
Well, unfortunately, retail pharmacy, it's not for everyone. Retail pharmacy, it's more into production. You can help patients, but not as you would like to. You're there, and the goal is to clean the queue.